Alright, so I am having to take a somewhat unplanned day off. I had planned to be with you today to work on this project with you, so I'm going to flip this lesson, but you'll watch it in class. That way you still get what you need to get from me today, and you can still make some gains on your project. It is a shortened block, so you've already hopefully done your journal. So with the remaining time, these would be some of the things that I would do. And the first thing is to make sure that you have a plan as far as the layout of your project is concerned. And that's a huge part of the grade, just as a reminder, because keeping things organized is going to ensure that you get a great grade. If you're still struggling with your topic or you have a couple ideas, feel free to message me on Canvas. I should be able to get with you pretty much within minutes of your message. I'll have my phone with me. I'll continue to check it through the weekend so that hopefully, if you're struggling with a topic still, we have that approved by the end of the weekend, early next week. We should have checklists. I'll kind of go over what I mean by that as the video goes on. And then just a reminder, if you're using today's time wisely, you're going to have time in class next week on Tuesday and Thursday to really get some good gains made on this project. It shouldn't be that you're working on this all weekend or anything like that. That's not my goal for you. So I wouldn't sweat today too much if you aren't done with the project. That shouldn't be the case. So I'm going to first go over just a couple layout options with you, and these are some of the student examples. I'm not going to post these examples because it's the student's own work, but I am going to show these to you on the video. The first one that I'm going to show you is Indira's from last year. So Indira chose to do personal journal entries, and there's always different ways to label things. She chose to do things in colors, and she chose to also use numbers, and then she chose to also use an appendix at the end, or kind of like an index. For Indira, that made sense, and it worked really well, and it kept her organized. So you can see she has kind of this intro at the top. It's nice to have a key at the top, just letting me know as your grader how I'm going to be looking at things. So she lets me know what the color systems mean and the numbering means and how it makes sense to her. And so you can see she goes through all of her journaling. So cute. And then at the end, she has her appendix. And she's listed her rhetorical devices and explained how she's used those. She has listed her modes, which are, again, in color above, and explained how she's used those. She has her tone words. She didn't have to explain these, but she did. She went ahead and in some cases she wanted to use the tone. You can do it that way. In other cases she just used the tone word in the sentence. So Indira went a little above and beyond there, but she definitely demonstrated she knew the words. And then she highlighted her fallacies in yellow and explained those at the end. So this is an awesome project. This is how Indira organized it. This was easy for me to read and easy for me to grade. So that is one system of organization, and you can see she was right about 6 pages. Another system of organization would be something like what Lindsay did. Last year, Lindsay used the comment feature, so she would have selected the part of text that she wanted to use and then gone up here to insert and put a comment in. And for her, she labeled them numerically, and then she put the device or mode or fallacy or tone word that she was using, and that kind of helped her make sure she was getting everything in that she wanted to get in. So she used all comments. She didn't color anything. She just used the comment feature. And then at the end of this, she also has an index like Indira, and she goes over the rhetorical devices and how she's used them. And you can see she did more than she needed to. Again, some of these kids are overachievers, so she used 18 different devices, but some of them she used more than once, and she just kind of kept those in line for her just so that she knew she did that. So again, overachiever here, did a nice job, and so there's her explanation. She liked to put exactly where it was. She didn't use the color system like Indira did. You wouldn't have to do that, but for Lindsay, that helped her feel safe that she was going to get all of her points. You wouldn't have to, again, tell me where all the tone words were, but she did. This is perfect. I mean, what Lindsay did was great, and Lindsay was an excellent AP student, as was Indira. So that is another example, and again, both of those ladies were A students on this. Here is Katie King's, and again, she kind of has a thing up at the top just letting me know what I'm looking for, just like Lindsay and Indira did. And Katie King, in all honesty, probably did it the way I would do it, just because I like the comment feature in Word. So she put everything in comments. She just explained it, she labeled it, she put it all here. So she doesn't have an appendix or index at the end. She just puts it all in as she goes. She comments on it. So you can see Katie's comments are quite a bit lengthier than what Indira's and Lindsay's were, but she still did great, excellent. She would have had to have, just as a side note, a list to make sure she had all the things. Both Lindsay and Indira numbered things, so they felt a little bit safer. Katie didn't number things in here, so she would have had to make sure she went through and knew she had 10 tone words, knew she had 18 devices, knew she'd used 4 modes, knew that she had used her fallacies. So she didn't do that part of it, but I'm guessing, knowing Katie, she had a pretty good checklist at her side to make sure that they were all in there and probably triple checked it before she turned in. Again, another superb project. And so those are 3 examples of how you could do it, and those I picked from a Dropbox. It's not that I didn't want boy examples, but those were just from a Dropbox where I could only get to the girl one. So those 3 ladies did what I would say students typically do on this project. If you think you're going to do a script, you can make notations the same way. You can color code things. You don't need to color code things. Students like to color code. That's a personal preference. It's not a requirement. If you are doing a video, then you might want to do some timestamps on Word, like, minute blank, this happens, and then you can explain it minute blank. So there's maybe more of a list thing in a Word document, and they'll turn that in with the link to the video. Or you may do a script for your video. And again, maybe the script is a couple pages and the video clip is a couple minutes. So that would get you, again, ballpark 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so. If you have questions, you need to ask. But the real thing for today to kind of establish is make sure your listing is done. Make sure you hopefully have a topic. Hopefully know the devices, the modes, the tone words, and the fallacies that you plan to use. Start writing. Get in there and start thinking about your labeling system. My biggest suggestion to you is to label as you go. Students who write things and check off things as they go and fail to label things end up having this big mess on their hands, and they have to go back and hunt and find things. And I know you think just because you wrote it, you'll be able to find it, but have a system, whether it's color coding or commenting, have a system in place so that when you are done with it and you don't have to go back. I really like Lindsay and Indira's numbering of everything. I think that makes it a lot easier. But if you're organized, you should be fine. If you don't like the numbers, for instance, I don't think Katie liked the way the numbers looked when she made hers. So that just helped it, again, look more the way she wanted it to. So if you have any questions about your topic or about laying things out and you don't want to wait until Tuesday to ask, please message me. Otherwise, we will continue work on Tuesday with this project. Please make some sort of progress today, even if it's just making some organizational decisions.